Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager, here on Biz Talk Television and Now Media Television Network. And it's going to be a fun talk. We got our favorite tax attorney, John Mitchell. John, how are you doing today?
Man, I am doing very well today and very excited to be here. Happy to share with you guys and share some good knowledge out there.
All right, but we're going to just sell some knowledge about some. All right, here's what happened, man. You got slapped by the IRS. You got to pay a penalty.
Yep.
What are some ways that we can make that slap a little less painful?
Make it sting a little bit less.
Sting a little
right?
bit less,
yeah.
yes.
Well, one of the big things that we can always do is trying to spread it out a little bit so you don't get slapped all at once. You get little tiny slaps every month. You know, and people can find that to be a better situation. And so one of the things that, the most common things that we do for people is, oh, you owe the IRS $20,000, $30,000, whatever it may be. Don't have it all right now. Let's get a payment plan. Let's break that up over several months and make it a little bit more palatable for people.
So how amicable is the IRS on doing that? I mean, are they, they just want to be the good guy, or how does that end up happening?
You know, the IRS is pragmatic,
Okay.
and they don't take this thing personally. Okay, so most of these guys, they're there to do a job, and if you can demonstrate that you can't pay right now, then you get a chance to pay over time. Now, the IRS doesn't want to be your bank. In fact, revenue officers, who are the collection folks at the IRS, they have a mandate to get as much money as quickly as possible, right? So they'd love, if you owe them money, they'd love for you to walk in, write them a check, and be done with it. Mm-hmm. But that's just not always possible. And one of the things we do is work on that. In fact, every day.
So what are the steps? What are the steps involved? So this happens, I don't have the money, we're there. All right, now I got to go ask for a little bit of forgiveness.
A lot of people don't know this, but there's a kind of a floor at $10,000. So if you owe $10,000 or less, they are basically obligated to just take whatever payment plan you want to do. So if it's less than $10,000, I will ask you, hey, how much a month do you want to pay? Fill out the paperwork, send it in, and it's basically a done deal at that point. Now the trick gets to be, the bigger the amount involved, the more scrutiny it's going to get. You might have to show documents showing that you don't have the means to pay right now, and that'll involve financial statement stuff. One thing a lot of people also don't know, there can be a partial pay installment agreement.
Okay.
So I owe the IRS $100,000, and at the rate that I'm able to financially pay, I'm not going to pay it off before the debt expires. Mm-hmm. And so that's a thing that we can do. So there's a lot of different ways to go about it.
So how does that affect you as a business owner?
Well, it affects your cash flow, but you had to pay you had to pay the tax anyway.
Right,
so
right.
It gives you a little bit of a chance. Now, interest and penalties do continue to accrue while you're paying. So it's not like the amount is frozen. It's like a credit card. You don't pay it off all right now, you're going to pay more in the end.
Okay. I take it that's not the way we want to go about it, but it's one of the easiest ways. So what are some other things that we can do as a business owner if we're put in this situation? Like I've had a client that they did this, they got hit with a big tax bill. They thought they paid it. And then all of a sudden one of their vendors came to them and said, hey, we just got told by the IRS there's a lien on your business that they didn't know about. How do things like that happen, and how do you avoid it?
Well, I had a case a while back where there were liens filed and they didn't know about it until a vendor told them, just like you're saying. And what had happened, the business had moved, and the mail didn't get sent to the right place, and so things progressed as they do. And the IRS ended up having liens out there. And so what we did is, this particular business had a state license, and so one of the requirements the state puts on them when they get ready to renew their license, they can't have outstanding tax debts. Yeah. And so what we did is very quickly made arrangements to take care of that and get that lien released.
So do you have to go ahead and actually go borrow money and do some things to make it happen, or we have to sell some assets? Or
either one of those would work, and if you can't do either one of those, then that's when the payment plan comes in.
Okay. Well, how often does this happen, and how do we, as business owners, how do we avoid it? What's the best way for us to avoid this kind of situation?
Well, it happens all the time.
Okay.
It happens. I get calls every day about stuff like this. And one of the things that people can do is periodically, and if your tax guy is not doing this, then you maybe light a fire under them. But they should be going over at least once or twice a year with you your tax situation. Like I, as a tax guy, you sign a release for me, I can go to the IRS and pull the printouts and transcripts of your tax accounts and make sure that everything is up to date.
Mm-hmm. So, with this tax planning, 'cause I take it to avoid these situations, just proper tax planning. And, going what we got to make estimates, we got to do these things depending on the way our business is structured. How do you, from your side, from the legal guy, you come in kind of after things have already turned to a mess. How do you advise clients to say, you already made this mess, let's not do it again? What's the number one thing that they should do?
Well, it's very important to stay on top of your tax planning, like you said. So I'd say make an appointment with me at least once a year. These are the months that things like that happen: September, October, November, December. End of the year, things are winding down. It's a good time to make an appointment with your tax guy and just do some planning and make sure that you're all up to spec.
Yeah, if it happens though and we get caught, do we want to address it as soon as possible, or do us, filing an extension or doing something like that? How does that hurt us, affect us, or make it?
Having a tax problem is kind of like having cancer, right? Like
Right.
you want to take care of it as soon as you possibly can. If you have an inkling that something's wrong, if you get in there and get with me and we attack it right now, I'm going to be able to do more for you. Once things progress past a certain point, I mean, it's like waiting for the house to burn completely down before you call the fire department.
Yeah.
Well, they come and throw water on the ashes or something. I mean, I guess, but yeah, the sooner you get these things taken care of, the better.
All right. Well, John, we've got about a minute left. How do people get a hold of you so that we can avoid these things going forward in our business?
Yeah, happy to talk to people. And the first time they call me up and talk to me, no consultation fee or anything. Just give me a ring. We'll chat a little bit. So the number is 713-333-0555. And you can email me at jmitchell@cctaxlaw.com.
Well, that's awesome, John. That's awesome. It's just one of these things, if we happen to get that spanking, we got to get rid of the sting. It happened when we were young. Mama brought out that stitch. She took care of us. The IRS is going to do it if you just don't do what you're supposed to do. So be careful, do what you're supposed to do. See tax professionals like John, and your business won't face these things. Well, thanks for coming out, John, today. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
All right. I'm Michael Rager, your business guide here on Biz Talk TV on Now Media Television. We'll be back with more right after this.